Head out of the game, I don't play that fact. Would you let me go? No, you never come back. I'ma be the best that you never had. I'ma kick back when you fake.
Hope everybody's having a nice weekend. We're going to start by looking at ES here. We're sitting in balance from last week, and we're above this large LVN here on the 4-week rolling profile, the 56.49 to 54 area, essentially right near previous week's 5-year low right here. And that was holding it up the entire prior week. We do have a 45-degree build on the profile on this here. Not really something I want to act upon from a higher time frame unless we begin to really step inside of that LVN. But essentially what I'm looking at for this week is we could see this right here, this 57.18. If we're holding and building above that, then by all means, I want to push up into the target 1A that's up here at 57.80 quarter. Upon interacting with that, I want to gauge for exhaustion continuation. What do I mean by that? I want to see an exhaustive look on the profile, see the inability to maintain above 57.80s. And if we test outside of that and come back inside, by all means, be looking for this to rotate back and through back to the 57.18s. Now, if we are building above this 57.80s, and I put it down here, caution around 57.90, which is a prior week pivot back here that's not been tested after the fact, the 57.90s. But if we're pushing and building in that area, we're not making any progress getting back inside, then I want to see us gravitate up towards the 2A, which is up here 56 or 58.42. The weekly pivot is 56.87. So if we do get underneath the weekly pivot here, then I would expect us to test back into this primary LVN. I would expect it to give way, a push down through previous week's low, ultimately targeting down to the 1B, which is down here 55.94. So back inside of 57.18s, I want to see us interact with the weekly pivot. If we're holding that weekly pivot, then by all means back. I want to see this rotate between the two, get back above the 57.18s and work our way towards the upper targets. But if we get below the weekly pivot, then I want to see some weakness come back into this this wider balance, close this here from the contract roll and work our way down to the 1B. With NQ right here, the weekly pivot is right there at 19,797. And so up here at the top of that zone, we have 19,920. If we're holding and building above that zone, I want to see us push into the 1A. The 1A is up at 20,166. Build and hold above that. Clearly, we have to gauge exhaustion continuation at that target. But build and hold above this area, which would be above previous week's high, I want to see us gravitate in towards the 2A, which is 20,412, with some caution right in this area around the 316s where that untested weekly pivot is. Now, let's say scenario, we get back inside of the 920s, push in here, then I want to see us interact with 797s. I want to see us push down here and see what we've got around the 797s. If we're building below the 797s, naturally, being that, again, we're in that balance there from prior week, I want to see us gravitate down and into the 1B. Along the way, we've got a few areas to pay attention to, which is 674, and then previous week's pivot, which is 550, and then 1B. So mechanical type of rotation down in towards 1B is what I would expect under the 797s. So if we come down to one of these areas of interest, one of these 3 areas of interest, and then we return, even if it's immediately right off of this 674s, we return above the 797s. For me, I'd be cautious on any type of short side move because I would look for that as a fail from left to right for a push up and to the above targets. So on both of these, ES and NQ, the inside profile is previous week's profile. The outside is the 4-week rolling. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll be on later this week.